Hey guys, welcome back. It's the guy in the hat coming at you with my very first Dungeon Crawler Carl review video. Now for all my longtime fans, thank you so much for being patient with me. I know this video is long overdue, but for all those who have waited for it, thank you so much for sticking around all this time. I mean it means the world to me. I'm going to be bringing you more Dungeon Crawler Carl content in the future. I'm also going to be reviewing the new Knights of the Seven Kingdoms series. It is really fantastic. I love Dunk and Egg, guys. So be prepared to see more videos just like that. But for today, we're going to be reviewing Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 1. I mean it, guys, this is one of my all-time favorite series of all time. It's even got a comic book adaptation. And I personally don't really love it. I think it's okay. I don't really like the Carl design in it, but I personally just in general love that it's becoming more and more of a pop culture phenomenon. Seth MacFarlane's even talking about doing a show at some point in the future, which if it comes to pass, I cannot wait. I hope it's just as good as Orville. I absolutely loved Orville. So him putting his name on it really means the world to me. The only downside is Jason Ackles isn't old enough to play a live action Carl, so we won't be seeing that, but I am really excited to see who they will cast as Carl, if it is a live action or if they're just gonna have Jeff Hayes come in and do all the voices in an animated version of it. Either way works for me, as long as Seth MacFarlane's the one directing it behind the scenes. I mean it, guys, this series is fantastic. It's got a little something for everyone. It's kind of a weird combination of multiple different franchises, like if Cyberpunk, Sword Art Online, Hunger Games, and Mad Max all got together and had a kid, and boy does this kid have issues. It starts off thinking that it's going to be just another sci-fi lit RPG series, but it slowly but surely evolves over time into this amazing story about the human spirit overcoming any obstacle put in front of it, never giving up, and just in general dealing with anything life throws your way. Now the story does a really good job of being light and entertaining throughout the whole story to keep you entertained and interested, but also really dark and edgy when it really has to be. And despite where and how the story takes place, the story feels very grounded in reality and how I genuinely feel this story would take place if it were to occur in real life. And yes, this is the same story where the main character fights a drug-dealing, fire-spitting llama in his boxers with a fire poker while a talking cat with a British accent criticizes every single move he makes. Matt Dinniman is one of my favorite authors. He takes like an already stressful situation and dials it up to like a 15. A prime example of that is Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon for all of those who have read Matt Dinniman's other book. That book is so dramatic. Like seriously, guys, it is Sword Art Online dialed up to an 11. Like, oh my gosh. Like seriously, Kirito would not have survived that game at all. And just when you think that game couldn't possibly get any worse, just wait until you get to chapter 25, guys. Like, wow. Carl and Donut had to literally break the fourth wall just to give us a content warning about it, guys. But anyway, guys, back to the original point. I'm going to do a quick review of the book so you guys know what's going on, and it might encourage you to read the first book. It's just going to be a quick synopsis of the book. So if you haven't read the book, please pause the video now, read the book, and come back. But for all those sticking around, you have been warned. Dungeon Crawler Carl takes place in the year 2020, the year everyone for some reason thought we were going to die, but in all actuality, all we got was COVID. But for Carl, the world did end. Not in the way anyone would have guessed that it would. Not from nuclear war, not a zombie apocalypse, not a widespread famine that spread through the entire world, or even that ridiculously creepy sun from Teletubbies that is obviously going to take over the world and kill us all someday, guys. Seriously, you got to keep your eyes out for it. Instead, it was an intergalactic corporation bent on harvesting our resources and exploiting our history and culture to make as much money as possible until we either fall in line or we expire, whichever comes first. It's January 3rd, 2:23 a.m., and Carl is up playing video games with his friend Sam because he can't sleep. He just got into a huge fight over the phone with his girl Beatrice. See, Beatrice at the last second decides to go on a New Year's Eve trip with a bunch of her friends to the Bahamas to have this big blowout party with a bunch of her friends, and Carl doesn't really want her to go, but at the same time things have been kind of dicey in their relationship lately, and he doesn't really want to stir the pot, and he wants her to have a good time, and hopefully that kind of mellows things out and everything. So Carl, being the good supportive boyfriend he is, decides not to make a thing about it and just let her go and have fun with a bunch of her friends. But little does Carl know that at the last second, Beatrice invited her ex-boyfriend Brad to come on the trip with her. Yeah, Carl found out pretty quickly when he checked his Instagram account and saw a picture of her sitting on his lap by the pool. Fed up with all her antics, Carl calls her and breaks up with her on the spot. He says all of her stuff will be packed up when she gets back and that he'll watch Donut until she gets back from her trip to the Bahamas. So instead of spending New Year's Eve with his girl, he's now stuck in his depressing apartment with nothing but reminders of his failed relationship and his now ex-girlfriend's pet cat. Carl decides to head to bed, but can't sleep due to all the stress, and then eventually just gives up around 2 in the morning and decides to see if anyone's up and then play some Call of Duty to help take his mind off of everything that's going on. Luckily for Carl, the only good thing about this situation is that a snowstorm hit Chicago, and now they're all snowed in, and he actually gets the next 2 days off from work, so he just gets to relax, take his mind off of everything, and play video games with his friend Sam. After a few rounds of Call of Duty with Sam, he takes a quick break to have a cigarette. Now, normally he doesn't smoke in the apartment, but because he and B just broke up, he decides he doesn't care, but at the last second changes his mind because he realizes he's gonna need that security deposit for what he's planning to do next. So he decides to pop the window open just a little bit so that he can let the smoke out. So he's just standing there having a cigarette, not really thinking much of it, when out of nowhere, and for the first time in her whole feline life, Donut decides to hop out the window and for the first time, go exploring. Keep in mind, it's the middle of a snowstorm. She hops out the window, hops onto a tree, and then onto the sidewalk, but then immediately realizing that it's cold as heck outside, decides to climb back up the tree, but then gets stuck. The adventure drained out of her as quickly as it came. Donut immediately tries to go back inside, but is too afraid to jump out of the tree, and immediately starts crying and howling for Carl to come and get her. Carl, extremely annoyed at this point and worried that the neighbors might come out and try to shoot her to get her to stop crying, rushes out of the apartment in nothing but his boxers, a leather jacket, and a pair of his ex-girlfriend's Crocs, trying to get her back inside. So he's just standing there at 2 in the morning in his boxers trying to coax his cat out of a tree when out of nowhere, the buildings are gone. And this weird alien language that Carl has never heard before but for some reason can perfectly understand starts playing inside of Carl's head. The planet has been seized and terraformed into an 18-level floor dungeon. Golden yellow lights descend from the sky to mark each of the dungeon entrances, and now the games have officially begun. Carl not really being able to focus on any of this right now because it's below freezing right now. All the buildings are gone, which means the wind's hitting him left, right, and sideways. He's in nothing but his boxers and a leather jacket, and now he just is terrified and has no idea what's going on, but needs to get somewhere warm, otherwise he knows he's gonna die. Seeing no other option, decides to grab Donut, who miraculously managed to muster up the courage to jump out of the tree and into his arms, and takes her and himself into the dungeon. He and Donut make their way inside and stumble around the dungeon for a little while, but then they come across a tutorial guild where he meets Mordecai, one of my all-time favorite characters of the whole series, who's actually a changeling shapeshifter who looks suspiciously like a rat-faced sensei who loves teaching karate to turtles in the sewers, but in spite of his rat-faced appearance, comes from a race of bird-like humanoid aliens called the Skyfowl, which is a typical alien race that's used for the crawl, and Mordecai himself is actually a former crawler who opted out at floor 11 in exchange from being a game guide and a trainer. And the reason he looks like Master Splinter is because the AI loves to mess with him. Get used to hearing that, by the way. And it alters his form each floor depending on the current mob of the dungeon. Mordecai is genuinely one of my favorite characters throughout the whole series. I love how his story slowly progresses throughout each book and you learn more and more about his character. And he goes from this bitter, broken man just waiting for his life to be over to not exactly fixed, but definitely has more of a fire and a burning desire to get revenge for all the atrocities that's been done to him. No, literally, I do kind of love how the AI loves screwing with him each time he goes to a new floor by giving him a new appearance. It's honestly genuinely one of my favorite gags throughout the whole series, and I hope it never changes. Mordecai sits Carl down and explains to him that sadly, most of the human population is dead. The planet has been turned into an 18-level floor dungeon that's being broadcasted to the entire galaxy and is the most popular program in the galaxy. Kind of like that episode of Jimmy Neutron. And the only way to survive is to be entertaining. In other words, kill him with style. So now the only way Carls can survive is to become an obnoxious showboat. And hopefully in between leveling up so that you can compete with all the other players, level up enough so that you can complete the floor before the floor timer runs out and anyone outside of a stairwell gets crushed into oblivion. Now when I first read this, I thought the story was just going to be another lit RPG power grind series where Carl's just going to slowly but surely get revenge on all the people that did this to him and the entire human race. But it slowly evolves into a story about intergalactic politics, corrupt corporations, and how far people are willing to turn a blind eye in order to be entertained or to maintain the status quo. But luckily, Carl is not going to have to face this crisis alone, which brings me to my next topic and the actual main character of this series, GC BWN Princess Donut, the Queen and Chunk, And oh boy, did Matt Dinniman struck gold when he wrote this character. Seriously guys, she's easily the most popular character in the whole series, and if she dies, instantly half the fan base is gonna immediately stop reading. She's easily more popular than Daryl was in Walking Dead, and honestly, I can't see myself personally continuing this series if anything happens to her, so no matter what, Matt Dinniman, you better keep her alive. Early on in the book series, Carl receives a legendary pet box due to all the loot boxes he got from killing all the goblins on his way into the dungeon before he got to the guild hall. One of the loot boxes has an enhanced pet biscuit in it, which obviously Donut eats, which also turns her into this awesome talking British super cat who can shoot laser out of her eyes, speaks with a British accent, and genuinely believes she's cat royalty and a genuine princess. And I love every second of it, guys. She's my mom's and my fiance's favorite character, even though my fiance is a member of the Donut Holes and I'm a proud member of the Princess Posse now and forever. Donut's gonna inevitably rule us all, and I will proudly support it. I think what really got me to love Donut is that scene in chapter 9 where Carl's thinking of leaving her in the middle of the hallway and is just like, you go your way and I go mine, but then she apologizes for being so obnoxious and bossy, and at the last minute Carl decides to stick with her, which, let's be honest, we all knew he was never going to actually ditch her, and even if he did, he'd immediately come running back out of guilt. I also love that she calls Carl out on the fact that he was planning on catnapping her, guys. I don't know if you remember what I said in the beginning about Carl needing that money for something he was planning to do, but he was planning on taking all of that money that he was going to get on the security deposit and all the money he had in his savings to basically bribe Beatrice into letting him keep Donut. Because despite how much Donut sometimes gets onto Carl's skin, he genuinely loves her. He loves when she sits on his lap when he plays Call of Duty. And honestly, Carl and Donut's dynamic is one of my favorites in a series, period. The only dynamic that I think even comes close is campfire cooking between Fel and Makota, and I love their back and forth too. But back to the matter at hand, I love Donut. She's one of my all-time favorite fictional characters, and I love Carl and Donut's dynamic, and I can't wait to see how it progresses throughout the rest of the series. Probably my favorite thing about the book series is the AI itself and how it's slowly breaking down and for some random reason has a crush on Carl, specifically his feet, which sounds ridiculous, I know, but somehow it works in there, guys. I can't wait personally to see what the AI does once it finally gets free of the showrunners controlling it. And I personally don't think it's going to do what everyone thinks it's going to do. I don't think it'll destroy everything and just kill everyone who literally ever wronged it either. Matt Dinniman's not that kind of author, and I feel like if he was going to go for that kind of cut and dry sci-fi adventure plot, the book series wouldn't be so long. I won't go into too much on what I think the AI is going to do in this video, but I will make a separate video on where I think the AI is going in the series and what it's eventually going to do in the last book of the series. This book is a 10 out of 10, would definitely recommend to a friend, and I cannot wait for the next book series to come out, guys. Seriously, Matt Dinniman does a great job of listening to the fans, and he puts out these books relatively quickly, so I'm not too worried about it taking too long for the next book series to come out. I am super excited to see where all the characters progress. Final thoughts, my favorite characters in the first book have to be obviously Carl and Donut, Brandon, and probably Audette, and then lastly, Agatha. For all you guys wondering why I said Agatha, it has to do with the other books later on in the series. All you who have read the books later on in the series will probably know why I put Agatha on that list. I'm not as big a fan of Amani and Chris, but I am actually a big fan of Ellie, even though she didn't get a lot of screen time in this book. I am a huge fan of her later on in the series, so even though she didn't make as big a splash in this book, I am a huge Ellie fan, and I cannot wait to talk about her in the next book, guys. But for all you guys stuck around to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe for more Dungeon Crawler Carl reviews just like this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna go more in depth with this, guys. I just wanted to get a video up and talk about the first book, guys, so I can move on to the second book and get all caught up. I might do a larger review of the whole book series as a whole and talk about all the highlights and where I think the story's going, guys, or let me know if you just want me to talk about the plot points and where I think each character's gonna go. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in my next video. Have an awesome day, guys. Take it easy.